Hi guys, we'll go back to Nat 5 and 5. We're going to be solving more quadratic equations today, so let's have a look. This lesson really does assume prior knowledge. You really have to know how to factorise. So let's have a look at the next slide. Right, you should know that there's 3 different ways that you can factorise. The common factor, this one here, the difference of 2 squares, and the trinomial. So I'm assuming that you all know how to do this, and then I'm going to take you on to the next slide and show you what we're going to do with it. So I'm going to factorise them fairly quickly. So this first one, you always try and do the common factor one first. So always try and take a factor out. Always try and do that first just to simplify things. So I'm going to take a factor of 2 out, and then in my bracket it's going to be x squared take away 16. And then my bracket actually then becomes a difference of 2 squares type question. So you're going to apply your knowledge of that. So you've got x squared take away 16. So you should know that that factorises into 2 brackets, becomes x and x. Think about almost square root in your 16, and it's going to become a positive 4 and a negative 4. Like I said, I'm not going into too much detail here. Okay, so that's it factorised. Next one, again, always try and do the common factor. I'm going to take a factor of 3 out. So in the brackets becomes 9y squared take away 1. And again, this one also becomes a difference of 2 squares. You've got a squared term here and a squared number here, and you've got a difference, a take away in the middle. So it's a difference of 2 squares. That's really where the word comes from. So you're going to apply your knowledge of that there. It's going to factorise into 2 brackets, and it's going to be 3y add 1 and 3y take 1 away. Next one, I am going to take a factor of 3 and x, so 3x outside my bracket. 3x multiplied by what gives me 3x cubed, it must be x squared. And 3x multiplied by what gives me a negative 27x, so it must be negative 9. And once again, this bracket here is now a difference of 2 squares. So it's going to become 3x, it's going to factorise into 2 brackets, it's going to be x and 3 and x take away 3. Okay. Next one is a trinomial. Even with trinomials, always try and take a common factor out, but when I look at it, there's 6, 7 and 2. There is no numbers that I can take out that makes it more simplified. The only number that divides into all those 3 numbers is 1, and that doesn't make things any easier. There's many different ways to factorise. So the way I've taught my class is, I think it's called Wendy's way. So I'm just going to show you how to do this. I'm not going to show you the whys and the hows, just going to show you how to do the strategy. So you're going to multiply the 6 and the 2 together to give you 12, a positive 12. And I want to find the factor pairs for 12. So I've got 12 and 1, 6 and 2, 4 and 3, and that's us. So out of those factor pairs, which one is going to give you this positive 7? So it must be my 3 and my 4, my 3. So just double check with yourself. So 4 multiplied by 3 gives you a positive 12, and 4 add 3, they're both positives, gives you a positive 7. So what's going to happen now is these 2 terms are going to drop down, so your 6x squared and your positive 2 drops down. I'm going to make this positive 7x look a little bit different, still worth the same, I'm just making it look different. So I'm going to change the 7x into what I've circled over here with my factor pairs. I'm going to use that 4 and that 3. So I'm going to change it to a plus 4x and a plus 3x. Okay, and as you can see, 4x add 3x gives me 7x, so it's the exact same. I'm going to do a wee dotted line down here. So I have changed a trinomial type question into a common factor type question. I'm going to take each side and I'm going to find a common factor of it. So that first one there, I'm going to take a factor of 2 and x, so 2x out. So in your bracket it's going to be 3x add 2. And I'm going to do the same with the next one. Now, as you can see, I've got 3x add 1. Nothing really comes out of that, but for this purpose, I'm going to take factor of 1 out. I'm going to get the same 3x add 2. Now you will see that this bracket and this bracket is the exact same. That will always happen if you use this method, if you do it correctly. So that bracket that's repeated forms one of your solutions, one of your brackets. And what is on the outside of the brackets forms your second bracket. So in your bracket it's going to be your 2x add 1. Okay. Next one, we've got 8x squared, take away ax, take away 48. So again, like I said, it's a trinomial type question, but always try and take a factor out. And 8, we can take a factor of 8 out of all of it. This becomes x squared, take away x, take away 6. And in the bracket it's just a trinomial, but it's a simpler type trinomial. And I'm just going to factorise this quickly. So it must be x and x, and it must be 3 and 2. That must be negative, that must be positive. Okay, so we have successfully factorised all different types of questions here, using common factor, using difference of two squares, and using trinomial. So let's have a look at the next slide. So have a look at the questions that I have used, and let's look at the next slide. So the next slide is pretty much the exact same on the left hand side. It says at the top, solve these quadratic equations. So you can see everything I'm highlighting. That 2x squared take away 32 was what we worked out, what we factorised on the previous slide. The only difference is now is I have made them equal to 0, so we'll be required to solve them. So this 2, now this is a huge misconception. This 2 on the outside does not form one of your solutions. That 2 is just there to simplify your factors and make things a little bit easier for you. So like the previous lesson, you're just going to take each bracket and make them equal to 0. So x add 4 equals 0. Sorry, I can't speak just now. Or so x equals negative 4. Next one, we've got x take away 4 equals 0. So x must equal 4. Okay? And that's you solving them. You could go one further step and just write what the coordinates would be then. So it would be negative 4, 0 and 4, 0. Okay, next one. Again, that 3 on the outside of the bracket does not form one of your solutions. 3 has just been taken out to make it a little bit easier for you. So first one, we've got 3y add 1 equals 0. 3y equals negative 1. So y must equal negative 1 over 3, so negative a third. Next one, we've got 3y take away 1 equals 0, so add 1 to both sides. 3y equals 1, divide by 3, y equals a third. Next one. Now, this does form one of your solutions. You've got 3x on the outside of the bracket, and x is involved here. So that actually is equated to equal 0 also, and you find a solution for it. So we're going to take the 3x, I'm going to make it equal to 0, so x must equal 0 also. Next one, x add 3 equals 0, so x must equal negative 3. The next one, x take away 3 equals 0, so x must equal 3. Okay, go down here, we've got 3x add 2 equals 0, so we've got 3x add 2 equals 0, take 2, I'll do the longer step just to see what I'm doing, take 2 away from both sides, 3x equals negative 2, divide by 3, x equals negative 2 over 3. Next bracket, 2x add 1, take 1 away from both sides, 2x equals negative 1, divide by 2, x equals negative a half. Okay? And the last one, again, that 8 just makes life a little bit easier for you, but it is not a solution, does not have an x attached to it. So we've got x take away 3 equals 0, so x equals 3, and x add 2 equals 0, so x equals -2. Okay guys, hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching.